Nah, this story right here is crazy. So, this woman convinced her new boyfriend to go and unalive her ex boyfriend, new girlfriend, so she could get back with her ex boyfriend. But she convinced her new boyfriend to do it. This is crazy. Check this out.
You are Marcy Tashon Griffin, is that correct?
I don't know what my mama did to you. I really don't. But I wouldn't wish that on nobody. Literally nobody.
Griffin, Ryder, and Gibson will spend the rest of their lives in prison with no shot at parole.
This is the story of Julie Johnson, a 34-year-old woman who was killed by her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, Marcy Griffin, and others. Marcy had dated Julie's new boyfriend in the past but could not get over him, so she recruited her own new and present boyfriend George Ryder and his friends to go kill Julie, her ex's new girlfriend. The reason was because Julie dated someone she dated in the past. Even though she already has a new boyfriend, she still wanted him back, and the only way was to kill the only person in the way, which was Julie Johnson. The crazy part of this story is how Marcy was able to convince her present boyfriend, George, and his friends to carry out murder on her behalf, knowing fully well her goal was to get back with Jimmy.
It's not just a random act. There was an orchestrated plan that, from what we can tell, was put together pretty elaborately, and it took a lot of work to sort out all the pieces and come to a resolution.
Julie Johnson, an Oak Park, Michigan native, was a hard-working young mother to her one daughter, Kira. Friends and family say Julie was an outstanding mother and had a very close relationship with her teenage daughter, working very hard to maintain a roof over her and her daughter's head. Julie enjoyed her work as a customer service representative via telephone, which was perfect for her because she loved to communicate with people and help them with their needs, making their day that much better. It also helped that the job was well-paying, allowing Julie to take care of her daughter, pay her bills, and save up for a house. Julie wanted to be a homeowner and, by all accounts, she was very much a people's person. To know Julie was to love her. She had this infectious, joyous energy that radiated into others. As she settled into womanhood and became more stable, she began to yearn for a stable relationship. She even told family and friends that she wanted to fall in love, settle down, and eventually get married. In 2014, at the age of 32, Julie fell for a man she met in passing. The man was 42-year-old Jimmy Terrell Ladna. Julie was smitten with Jimmy. She couldn't stop talking about how fine he was and how much she was attracted to him. Eventually, the two linked up and began dating. By all accounts, Jimmy was a sweetheart. He was kind, generous, and had a charisma about him. He was articulate, intelligent, and owned a car wash in his old stomping grounds in Detroit, Michigan. Although Julie had her own place, she and Jimmy spent a lot of time together at his place, almost as if she lived there. Julie and Jimmy were in love, and by the end of 2016, they had been together for 2 whole years. One thing about Jimmy was that he had been with a lady named Marcy Griffin in the past. They were together for 17 years before they broke up. They also have 2 kids together. Unfortunately, they decided to go their separate ways at some point. By January 2017, Julie and her new boyfriend, Jim Terrell Latner, were enjoying their life together in Warren, Michigan. On January 13, 2017, a Friday, at 7:30 in the morning, 911 dispatchers received a call about a shooting in the Heritage Village subdivision of Warren, Michigan. A man was hysterically screaming because his girlfriend had been gunned down right outside his home. The man who made the call was 44-year-old Jimmy Terrell Ladna, and the victim was his girlfriend, 34-year-old Julie Johnson. EMTs rushed to the scene and saw Julie lying on the ground in her own blood near her vehicle, right outside Jimmy's condo complex near 13 Mile and Mound Roads. Julie suffered from several gunshot wounds to the torso and one in her forehead. They attempted to give her CPR but saw she was unresponsive, so they put her into the ambulance and rushed her to the nearest hospital. Jimmy was outside, distraught, yelling and cursing on the phone, telling someone what had happened. Police approached Jimmy and asked him to go into the back of their cruiser to ask him some questions. When there's a murder, the police always start by questioning the person closest to the victim, often a partner, because many domestic fights end tragically. While talking to Jimmy, the police got a call from the hospital with the worst news: Julie had died from her injuries. Breaking this news to Jimmy was incredibly tough. He broke down, showing just how much pain he was in. Even though Jimmy was clearly upset, the police had to keep an open mind. They couldn't rule him out just yet and needed to dig deeper to find the truth. So, they continued their investigation, knowing they had to look at every possible angle to understand what really happened and bring justice for Julie. As part of the investigation, the police searched Jimmy's house and made some startling discoveries. They found burner phones, which are cheap, disposable phones often used to avoid being tracked. They also found a 9mm Ruger gun with the serial number scratched off, making it untraceable. This was already looking bad, but it got worse. When they searched his truck, they found even more. There were 2 more burner phones, $12,000 in cash, and some custom-designed hidden compartments. These compartments are usually something drug dealers use to hide drugs, weapons, and money. It was becoming clear to the police that Jimmy was involved in some shady business. They suspected he was laundering dirty money through his car wash business, making illegal money look clean and legitimate. Jimmy was already on probation for previous federal gun and drug charges, so finding all this illegal stuff was a big deal. Because he wasn't supposed to have any guns, the police arrested him right away for possessing a firearm as a felon. The investigation had to uncover whether Julie's tragic death was a direct result of Jimmy's actions or if she had become an innocent victim in a much larger and more dangerous game. During the investigation, police found out about Jimmy's ex-girlfriend, Marcy Griffin, who was the mother of 2 of his children. Marcy and Jimmy had been together for 17 years but had both moved on to new relationships. Friends of Julie said many women were jealous of Julie because of her beauty and the attention she received from men. However, Marcy especially had it out for Julie. Marcy couldn't stand the idea of Jimmy solidifying his relationship with Julie by marrying her in Vegas. Surveillance footage at Jimmy's car wash showed Marcy confronting Jimmy upon his return from Vegas. Police initially suspected Marcy might have been involved in Julie's murder, but security footage from Marcy's job on the morning of the murder provided her with a solid alibi. Police then turned their attention to a nature trail near the crime scene, where witnesses had seen a man running. Security footage from a nearby LA fitness center showed an SUV parking near the trail at about 7 a.m., with a man in a dark hoodie exiting from the passenger side. The suspect matched the description given by witnesses. DNA on gloves found at the crime scene matched a sample in the database, leading police to 24-year-old Eric Gibson. Eric had no direct connection to Julie but was related to George, a known associate of Jimmy's. Eric had been pulled over a few days before the murder in the same SUV seen on the security footage. This led police to believe that George, wanting to hurt Jimmy, had enlisted Eric to kill Julie. Julie's family was devastated by her loss. Her 17-year-old daughter, Kira, was especially heartbroken, expressing her anger and confusion over why someone would do something so cruel to her mother.
I don't know what my mama did to you. I really don't. But I wouldn't wish that on nobody. Literally nobody.
The trial revealed a murder-for-hire plot orchestrated by Marcy, with George as the middleman and Eric as the hitman. George was Marcy's new boyfriend. Marcy had somehow recruited George, her new boyfriend, and his friend to kill Julie on her behalf. It was not clear what she promised in return because the obvious reason was to get back with Jimmy when Julie dies.
Investigators say this really was a whodunit kind of case, and thanks to good police work, they say they are confident that the killers are behind bars.
You are Marcy Tashone Griffin, is that correct?
Marcy Griffin is the woman police believe was the mastermind behind the murder of July Johnson. Investigators say Griffin used to date Johnson's boyfriend and had expressed hatred towards her. That's why they believe Griffin enlisted the help of her current boyfriend, George Ryder, and another man to murder Johnson back on January 13th. Johnson, a 34-year-old single mom, was on her way to work when she was shot in the forehead and torso and killed.
It's not just a random act. There was an orchestrated plan that, from what we can tell, was put together pretty elaborately, and it took a lot of work to sort out all the pieces and come to a resolution.
Police say they have surveillance video from a business near the crime scene showing someone getting out of the passenger seat of an SUV a short time before the shooting and walking toward the scene. Soon after, that person can then be seen walking back to that SUV. Investigators believe it was being driven by Marcy Griffin's boyfriend, George Ryder. They believe Ryder's friend, Eric Gibson, is the one who pulled the trigger. Police also found work gloves near the scene. DNA testing came back as a match to Gibson.
There was also a firearm that was located between the business where the suspect vehicle was parked and the suspect walked to the victim's residence to commit the crime.
Investigators also looked into cell phone records. They determined Gibson and Ryder were in the area at the time of the murder and that Gibson had been in contact with Marcy Griffin.
This has been the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I haven't heard my daughter's voice in 40 days, and I'm used to talking to her. I'm used to seeing her. I am so thankful to God that they have arrested the people that were responsible for taking my child from me.
Ms. Johnson went on to say a big thank you to all the police and investigators who worked on this case. As for those suspects, all three of them are charged with first-degree premeditated murder. Marcy Griffin, and George Ryder, her current boyfriend, are being held without bond. The other suspect, the suspected gunman, Eric Gibson, is being held in Wayne County on an unrelated charge.
This tragic story highlights the destructive power of jealousy and obsession, and the devastating impact it can have on innocent lives. Julie's family continues to mourn her loss, remembering her as a loving mother and a beautiful soul taken too soon. A lot of people still cannot understand how a woman can convince her boyfriend to go kill the girlfriend of her previous boyfriend, knowing fully well that she will leave her once the previous takes her back.
This right here is sad because this woman lost her life over nothing, bro. Over a jealous, bitter woman. And this is why I always say simps are the most dangerous dudes on this planet, bro. Because a simp will do some shit like that, bro, with no regard. All because he's a sucker for love. And here's the reality, bro. Birds prey on simps. They will always use a simp and get rid of him. That was her intention. And this is why I tell you all dudes, fam, it don't pay to be a sucker. Don't let a woman use you, bro. This right here is sad, man. Please leave your thoughts in the comments. I'm out. Before you guys leave, let me just say thanks to all the new subscribers. Welcome to the SDC fam. And if you guys appreciated the content, go ahead and show some love right now. And like and subscribe. Do so for your boy right now. Go ahead. If you haven't yet, go get you some of that merch. Y'all already know, don't feed the birds. That's what it is. We don't feed the birds over here. So if you rock with your boy, go get you some of that good merch.